they did with Thanos. Thanos is the same force in the X-Men that they call Apocalypse. The same thing. Kronos, coming to eat his own babies. The only thing that you can't escape is time in a 3D fixed position reality. That's Kronos eating his own babies. But he's really not eating his babies. His babies is not able to outstretch the wrath of Kronos as the stretching of time. Because time is drawn out in a linear fashion, and it's difficult for a person that has abstract vision to navigate linear vision. But it's the same way for a person with linear vision to navigate abstract spiritual vision. So they use these to their advantage to confuse our mind. Because once they get us confused, that's when the misdirection works best. Because it becomes a suggestibility issue at that point, as any hypnotist can tell you. So in all these movies, they tell you in plain sight about the Messiah myth. They tell you about the resurrection. They tell you about the Exodus. They tell you about the return of the Christ. They tell you about Moses reaching the promised land. They're telling you all of them again, but they got subtleties there. And then they got what they call streamers that pop up in the middle of nowhere. Like the story of Wonder Woman, being that she is the God killer. Only a God can kill a God. And she the only one on earth. And she a woman. This is not matching with something. That means God must be a woman. God must be a woman, because if God was a man and you needed a God to kill a God, then you would need a man God to kill him. Because only a man God can kill a man God. Or a God can kill a God. They didn't say a goddess. They said a God. So they're giving you a subtle confession there in Wonder Woman. If you really look at the story of what they tell you in Wonder Woman, they lay it all out. Adolf Hitler being Ares, the god of war, the wrath of Earth. Ares was defending Earth from foreign invaders. Okay. They're telling you the story. But Diana, who is Diana? Follow her history. She was a Greek goddess, you know. And Diana was just another representative of Isis. But she was Greek. The Greek pantheon was written by Egyptian priests. So when you look at Wonder Woman, you're not even realizing that you're really talking about the Christ. Because the Christ is a woman. And it's provable with the Bible if everybody just look at the truth that's in plain sight. But I'm not going to get into that because we're on pop culture. Also in pop culture, you have like Superman. This is the greatest farce. Who is Superman? Kal-El. Now watch what they did. Kal-El is El-Kali, a woman. That's why they had to give you Supergirl. El-Kali is Kali from the Indus Valley that they call the Dark Mother. And she is supposed to be the Christ because she's known in Egypt as Isis, which translates in English as Jesus, basically, for if you look at it for what it is. Okay, so they telling you in all of the pop culture the secret, but because it's in plain sight, you can't see it because of the misdirection and the entertainment value. We get so caught up in being entertainment and keeping up with the Joneses that even when they tell you something obvious, you miss it. You miss it. So, who else do we talk about in the Amazonians that she dwelled among, her mother being one of them. Now, her mother is not a god killer. The Amazonians in ancient times were the Gorgons. The Gorgons. Now, notice they call them Amazonians, and they lived on the riverbank. The Amazon is in South America, but the story comes from Greece in Central Europe. Now pay attention to that. The Amazon River is in South America. The Amazon story comes from Greece and Central Europe. Now, Columbus didn't even exist when the Amazon story was written. But remember, you got to change the names to protect the guilty. You got to change the name to protect the guilty. The Amazonians were the Gorgons. And the Gorgons were the women guardians of Earth. And Medusa was one of them. Medusa was punished because she got raped and turned into a hideous monster, so to speak. That's the story. And one of the Titans, or one of the sun demigods, chopped her head off and all that. That's not true, but that's a myth. But it's a telling of a story to get a point across. Because the power that the woman had, when people first started seeing rosters with dreadlocks, the subconscious memory of the Gorgons shook fear in the marrow of the first so many people that seen it. And this is why. The Gorgons were warrior queens, and they were also called the Sibyls. And they had factions that protected Earth all over Earth before the invaders came. This is your story of the Amazonian warrior princesses. In real life, if you want to know real stories of them, they still exist. These warrior women are still here. They're with us. They walk with us every day. We see them carrying the weight of the world on their shoulder with a smile, never knowing that they are an undercover warrior of God. So when they seen these dreadlocks, what they call the Nazarene rite, they thought the Gorgon had returned and awakened. So that's why they automatically call Rastas the natty dread, or that dreaded lock. They dreaded that the Gorgons, which is all women, by the way, there are no men that were Gorgons, and they reproduced through parthenogenesis, and they were guardians of Earth. That was their job. Now, when the invaders came, they put the Earth into a coma. And they done it by flipping the grid from an electron-proton-electron grid, which was feminine in construct, into a proton-electron-proton grid, which is masculine in construct. Now, how did the prophecies know at this time it would be a rampant amount of what they call homosexuality? It has nothing to do with anything being wrong with a person. It goes with an energy and because the power that the woman had, when people first started seeing rosters with dreadlocks, the subconscious memory of the Gorgons shook fear in the marrow of the first so many people that seen it. And this is why. The Gorgons were warrior queens, and they were also called the Sibyls. And they had factions that protected Earth all over Earth before the invaders came. This is your story of the Amazonian warrior princesses. In real life, if you want to know real stories of them, they still exist. These warrior women are still here. They're with us. They walk with us every day. We see them carrying the weight of the world on their shoulder with a smile, never knowing that they are an undercover warrior of God. So when they seen these dreadlocks, what they call the Nazarene rite, they thought the Gorgon had returned and awakened. So that's why they automatically call Rastas the natty dread, or that dreaded lock. They dreaded that the Gorgons, which is all women, by the way, there are no men that were Gorgons, and they reproduced through parthenogenesis, and they were guardians of Earth. That was their job. Now, when the invaders came, they put the Earth into a coma. And they done it by flipping the grid from an electron-proton-electron grid, which was feminine in construct, into a proton-electron-proton grid, which is masculine in construct. Now, how did the prophecies know at this time it would be a rampant amount of what they call homosexuality? It has nothing to do with anything being wrong with a person. It goes with an energy and a weakening of a contract right called the gender contract in Hermetics. When you get to the end of the age, all of the laws become subject to be re-examined, including the law of gender. So when they examine the contracts, all of the things that take place are things that take place. And people want to put judgments on it. You can't put a judgment on it because it's the thing that's taking place is taking place. By putting a judgment on it is not going to help or support it. It's only going to make it into a negative. What you want to do is find the healthy, happiest, and the best outcome for all people involved. If you don't put a condemnation on it, you don't hold a negative vibration to it, when we make the shift, everything will correct itself. But if we keep the negative low vibrations and we go to make the shift, people are going to turn into dust, literally, as the story of Lot's wife, because they stuck in the old energy, which is symbolically looking back. You can't stay stuck in that negative hate energy. You can't stay stuck in that he white and she black energy. That's the old energy. That was all done for the cleansing process of earth. All that negative energy got to go now. It got to go. And when that negative energy is gone, we're going to all have heaven on earth. But first, we have to find the unified front in order to oust that negative energy in unison. Basically, we have to flip the grid back to the feminine grid and restore the natural manner in which humans live, which was a matriarchal people. And they don't mean that your man is a lesser configuration of the family. It's just that it's a different setup. It's a different setup under matriarchy than patriarchy. It doesn't take any power from men. Actually, it makes the matriarchal system makes a powerful man hundreds of times more powerful, because it's relying on him having to influence strong-willed, clear-thinking women that his interests in the recovery of the rights of the people are so right and correct. He can't fool that many women. He can bullshit men. He can convince a lot of women in different ways of different things, but when it comes to saving these babies, he cannot convince a collective of women, if he is not about the right thing, that he's going to do anything to save these babies, and she put him in power. If he get in power and he slip through the cracks, the collective of women, if they turn their back on him, he's just going to fall. That's what they've been telling us all this time. Behind every great man is a great woman. She pulling the fucking strings. So it boils down to the energy matrix. And then this is what they're telling you by the Amazonians. When the Gorgons were overthrown, which is an overthrow of the matriarchal system and the establishment of a male patriarchal system that was not conducive to women having any role of prominence. When the Romans got married, they had to dress their newly married women up like a little boy, or else they couldn't have a sex act with her. Now, in this modern time, we should ask ourselves, how is she supposed to feel as a female and a woman, right? That in order for her husband she just married to be aroused, she got to look like a boy. That don't make no sense. In order for her husband, how is she supposed to feel? A woman is an emotional creature that need to be emotionally nourished. How is she supposed to feel if she had to look like a boy in order to get her husband attention. Something is broke. Look at the artwork in Rome. You hardly see anything that promotes anything woman or feminine. Because what happened was this. The story is about Helen. And this is where your hell come from. And this is about the Gorgons and the falling of the goddess and the overthrow of the patriarchy. It's all tied into this. And this is how it goes. Go back to Greece. Helen is a woman. Go back to Greece. Helen is a woman. Helen in Greece developed, or Helen's influence in Greece, I should say, developed all of the Greek philosophers, all of the Greek scientists, healers, all that developed under the influence of Helen. Now they call it Hellenistic. Now, watch what happened. Rome took Helen, kidnapped her. And this is where they talk about Medusa had her head chopped off. He kidnapped her. When they kidnapped her, they replaced her with a man dressed in drag, and they called him Helen. Right? Now, when you look at the Greek pantheon and you get to Helen, Helen is all of a sudden male. This is how we got in hell, because this is Hellenism. When they undermined that woman like that, what they did was they injected into the process of the growth of humans what they call a reptilian trait. It's a book called The Selfish Gene. I don't got to tell you nothing else. The book you need to read to understand when the patriarch took over, they activated the selfish gene. It's a whole book about it. You can study it all you want. The selfish gene. Because that's the reptilian part of the human animal. But the human is more mammalian as higher evolved. That's why the smallest part of your brain in the stem is called your reptilian brain. Your reptilian brain is the one that's selfish, and it requires a low vibration, and it makes you operate off animal instinct. That's your reptilian brain. When you get to your cerebral cortex, your major mammalian brain, your second mammalian and big mammalian brain, you are talking about your RH brain. Now, this part of the brain is not fully realized because of the barrier. I'm not allowed to discuss the barrier right now. But this part of the brain is not fully realized because once it becomes fully realized, this activates the other 2/5 to make the 3/5 become the 5/5 realized, having first claim the right and jurisdiction of soul and body. Because the body is just a vessel created for the soul to animate the 3D reality. So once that happens, then we all become in control of the self. But the hell in Hellenism, Georgetown University History of the World has a little section there that describes how it worked. Hellenism. Pay attention. You pick your leader. You ride and die with your leader to the end. But they need control and influence in your sector. But your leader is a barrier to their control. Hell is short for Hellenism. So pay attention. Under Hellenism, they find a person that'll sell you for a price. And then they promote him. They put him at odds against the leader that you actually pick. Then they neutralize him. Take him out of power and authority. They neutralize him is the term they use. They don't say execute because they may not execute him. They may just charge him with a whole bunch of sex crimes, use him as a public spectacle to cover up a political agenda that's taking place in the background. Or they may call him a molester because they're scared that he might be the Christ. And when they can't convict him of sex crimes against children, they might just go on and pay a doctor to execute him because he just might be the Christ. If you knew the history and paid attention, you'd know. Okay, now, they know the real Christ, they can't do nothing to, so the only way they can kill him, he was a fake. But he never claimed to be. So, when you look at pop culture, and you watch the news and you see all of your president jumping around like Donald Duck and being a buffoon, the man is very intelligent. That's called in debate a red herring, meaning that it's a tool of distraction used to bring your attention. The same thing, misdirection. David Copperfield. While he doing all this, hey, I'm stupid president, read the ticker, because they're probably going to be telling you something to the effect of they planning a war with this country or that country, or they indicted this person or that person, or they might not even put it in the regular news. They might put it in some what they call tabloid format. Hey, beloved, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Tell the clan where you chiming in from.
Chicago, Crystal.
That town in the house.
Yep.
Yeah, back again from the city of wind.
Yeah.
Afro, Black Girl Magic. Go on, say what you gonna say, girl.
That's why I wanted to tap in, because you like froze up, feathers up, froze up. And I'm like, look, I got my fro. Let me tap in real quick. See what's to it. There's a lot going on.
Frequency.
Already. I wanted to say something too, because I know, we get into getting the family together, and I know a lot of sisters are feeling like a little resistance because of the family drama and trauma. But I just want to say, like, just do that shit, y'all. Just forget about what happened yesterday and just go on today and just move forward. Act like whatever happened didn't happen.
Fake it till you make it.
Didn't kill you, your ass here to keep going. Let that shit go. And I'm really talking to myself too, as far as my blood sister. We came out the same vagina. We could let that shit go. I don't give a fuck about nothing. None of the pain. We gotta do this shit.
Well, as long as it ain't no predators in the family.
Oh no! Now those motherfuckers we gonna drag out and they get their ass whooped.
Yeah, it's up to the family.
That's why I called the family meeting.
Yeah, so y'all know if you got one in the family gonna know who they is for long.
Absolutely.
But